Hello and welcome. I'm Rawia Alami and this is the Dailies, where we take a look at important news stories, reports, analysis and articles published in newspapers and media outlets across the world. The Israel-Iran saga continues, and naturally all newspapers continue to report, analyze and theorize about the war, how it's going and how it will end, and whether the United States will be directly involved in hitting Iran or not. We'll start with the Washington Post, which conducted a poll asking 1,000 Americans about their opinion regarding the possibility of launching U.S. airstrikes against Iran, which President Trump threatened this week unless the country dismantles its nuclear program. As for their results, the newspaper reported that 45% of Americans are against the strikes. 25% support them and 30% are unsure. Some of the participants' comments were actually indeed interesting. As you can see, a Nevada woman aged 62 says the U.S. cannot allow Iran to have nukes. Israel is our friend and Iran is the main sponsor of terrorism. Another woman from Washington, this time aged 74, said, I think President Trump and the U.S. needs to continue negotiations and alternatives before the U.S. bombs Iran and starts a World War III. Now, also, the poll reports that Republicans generally had a different opinion, with a majority supporting such strikes on Iran. Let's have a look at the chart. As you can see, the Republicans that are supporting strikes on Iran are about 47%, while 24% of the Republicans oppose it. As you can see, the numbers switch, with the Democrats 9% only support such strikes, while 67% oppose it. Independent and other, also that category, 20% only support such strikes, while the majority, at least 44%, they oppose it. Also, military veteran household, as you can see, the numbers and the percentages are very close, with 37 in support and 39 in opposition. The poll also found that support for U.S. strikes is highest among people paying the most attention to what is happening outside the United States, though even among this group, more oppose than support attacking Iran. When the participants were indeed asked, how serious a threat do you think Iran's nuclear program poses to the U.S., here is what they said. So, 22% said it is an immediate and a serious threat, and that is Iran, of course. 48% said a somewhat serious threat, while we have 23% said it's a minor threat, and 7% said that Iran is not a threat at all. However, the poll found that Republicans were more likely to say Iran's nuclear program is an immediate and serious threat than Democrats or independents. But a plurality of Republicans say it is somewhat serious. As for America's concern, if at all, about the possibility of the U.S. getting involved in a full-scale war with Iran, this was the result. As you can see here, 6% said not at all, they're not concerned. 12% said not so much. And then you have 43% said they are a bit or somewhat concerned, while 39% said they are indeed very concerned. The breakdown of these results in terms of political parties, this is what the newspaper reported. As you can see, more than half of Democrats say they are very concerned about the possibility of a full-scale war with Iran, compared with about 4 in 10 independents and fewer than 3 in 10 Republicans. We'll stay with the Washington Post, where Max Boot wrote, saying, to bomb or not to bomb? That is the question. Boot draws attention in his article to the dilemma facing President Trump, whether to bomb Iran's Fordow nuclear site or to hold back. For months, Trump urged Israel to avoid attacking Iran and to let diplomacy work. But after Israel indeed launched its own strikes, Trump's tone changed, and he now threatens Iran with unconditional surrender. The U.S. military is ready to use powerful bunker-buster bombs to destroy Fordow, but experts warn that this could trigger Iranian retaliation, including missile attacks on U.S. bases and threats to global oil shipping. The article notes that Trump is torn between his promises to stop Iran's nuclear program and his pledge to keep America out of war. The decision is risky, and the consequences could be severe. Nobody knows what Trump will do next. The Financial Times published a special report focusing on how Israel's recent attack on Iran relied on years of secret preparation and advanced technology. The report notes that Israeli intelligence used custom-built phones, hacked devices, satellites, and deep cover agents to track and strike targets with surprising speed and accuracy. The operation targeted top officials, nuclear sites, and air defenses, and also missile launchers. Israel's goal was to shock Iran and delay its response by hitting many targets at once. The piece highlights that the attack has caused panic inside Iran's security forces, who now suspect even everyday devices could be used for surveillance or assassination. The report indeed quotes experts who admit Israel's intelligence dominance, but warn against overconfidence. The piece concludes that while Israel's success is impressive, the campaign is not yet over. To the New York Times now, which published a news analysis highlighting how memories of the Iraq War are shaping debate in Washington as President Trump considers a military strike on Iran. 20 years ago, the U.S. invaded Iraq expecting a quick victory, but the war lasted years and had tragic consequences. Today, Trump faces similar pressure from some advisors to attack Iran's Fordow nuclear site with powerful bunker-buster bombs. Many officials fear a strike could spark a wider war, with Iran retaliating against U.S. bases and ships. Also, there are disagreements over intelligence and the risk involved. The article notes that Trump's final decision is unclear, and experts warn that history could repeat itself if the U.S. jumps into another Middle East conflict without a clear plan for what happens next. While the Wall Street Journal reported today that President Trump privately approved attack plans on Iran, but has withheld final order, it also published an exclusive report highlighting a major gap between Israel and the U.S. over Iran's nuclear program. Israel shared intelligence with the U.S. about Iran's research into nuclear weapons technology, including trigger systems and explosive devices. However, U.S. officials believe this only shows Iran is keeping its options open, not that it has decided to build a nuclear bomb. The U.S. estimates Iran could make enough weapons-grade uranium in weeks, but intelligence agencies say Iran has not made the decision to build a bomb yet. Trump says Iran is very close to having a nuclear weapon, disagreeing with his own intelligence chief. The article concludes that Israel and the U.S. are not fully aligned on how to deal with Iran's nuclear threat. The Jerusalem Post published an exclusive report saying Iran says it is willing to talk with the U.S. about a deal, but insists Israel must first calm things down and end its attacks. The report highlights Iran's message to Qatar and Oman, who are trying to broker a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Meanwhile, U.S. military leaders, including General Michael Kurilla, have briefed President Trump on possible military options against Iran. The report notes that the U.S. military is ready for action, but Trump has not decided yet. Trump says he would like Iran to accept his terms, but calls Iran's position weak. Iran's leaders have rejected Trump's demand for unconditional surrender, and the piece concludes that while diplomacy is still possible, the U.S. and Israel are prepared for more military action if talks fail. Moving on to Israel Hayom, which asked today in one of its reports whether Israel can destroy Fordo alone. The report highlights new claims from a senior Israeli official that Israel can target Iran's Fordo site on its own, though details are not revealed. Military experts suggest Israel might use multiple smaller bombs, special forces, or covert methods like cyber attacks or targeted killings. However, the most effective way to destroy Fordo, which is buried deep underground, would be with the US-made GBU-57 bunker buster bombs, which only the US has and can deliver with B-2 bombers. Israel's own bombs may not be enough. The report also says or notes that US involvement would be a major escalation, and President Trump says there are no guarantees any bomb will work, but warns Iran not to attack US troops or face a tougher response. And we'll end with the Times, which revealed today that the UK is considering military support as Trump threatens to bomb Iran. The report highlights that British Prime Minister Keir Starmer held an emergency Cobra meeting to discuss whether the UK should support a possible US strike on Iran. President Trump has not ruled out bombing Iran and is demanding unconditional surrender. Now, the piece explains that the UK is considering whether to allow the US to use the Diego Garcia base in the Indian Ocean for launching B-2 bombers, which could carry bunker buster bombs to destroy Iran's underground nuclear sites. The UK's top legal advisor has raised concerns about the legality of joining offensive operations, suggesting Britain should only provide defensive support. The report notes that ministers worry about the impact on the social relationship if the special relationship if the UK refuses US requests, revealing that the British Army or military is on high alert, fearing attacks on troops in the region if the UK is seen as involved. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.